cross-country, SOS cross-country, and fly with Sandy. Right, let's get this registration started.
The coolest places to fly seem to be anywhere that is not the UK. Luckily, they're good at making airports in England and getting you there in style. When you grab a cheap flight and it arrives late, you get the baggage pay. That's soon forgotten when you wake up in another world.
Good morning, I'm here with Jetsada.
Hello.
And we're at Berga. Look at this. I think there's enough space to launch.
Like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Looks amazing. There's some mountains out on the flats as well. I wasn't expecting. Way out in front. Fly. Forgot the glider.
So today is a provisional task, a training task. So it's just for you to get acquainted with the area, you get to know a little bit, take off, and also for us to train the logistics and fine-tune a few things.
We've got a really nice task, very small task, but it's a very sensible task for the day. Given that we've got that stuff building already, and it looks like on the forecast this area is going to overdevelop. So we're going off the launch, out in front, down the ridge to the far corner, the 9th Maria, coming back to Berga, and then back to the meet center and out over the flats. And that's a very sensible task that uses the weather and keeps us in the safer places, which is in the plains, so that we can zip around and get down before the day goes boom. Super organized cockpit.
Wow, I'm still playing some music.
You have some big screen action here. You have time to look at that? I'm holding onto the glider. So what's your strategy for the task?
I just look where Greg is and yeah. What's worse?
Yeah, I'm thinking going quite early and getting onto the front ridges early and trying to go quickly.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of triggers on the ridge and the birds were thermaling early already. So I'm sure we can stay up on that front ridge.
Yes.
I'll see you in goal.
I'm just gonna follow you.
Let your crazy calm out just a little bit. I can see by your moving that you're feeling it. You have to hide it, you can't fight it, you're an animal.
Thank you.
Come on, don't you think it's about time to lead up, get it up, on your wild side. Everybody got a wild side. Just pretend nobody's looking when the beat goes. I know you can't resist.
All the pilots here can already fly well, but the decisions they make will quickly separate the field. In the tutorials on flywithgreg.com, you can learn key tactics that will improve your cross-country skills and help to prepare for competition flying. In this series, I will share my perspective in real time, so you can understand how things look from the pilot seat when you make the decisions.
Lots of mixing. Difficult to do any tight turns in this bunch. Tandem did very well in the middle of that stack. Sometimes it's just to do with the traffic at your level. Enjoy the ride! Woohoo! That's Jetsada, Fly with Greg member from the past, and he's rocking competition flying now. Task started. 25 k's an hour, so a light headwind. And I put a squeaker speed bar on, try and get my arms down lower to optimize this glide.
That was not a smart route. So let's divert to the cliffs. Yeah, I'm sure you've noticed those pilots high on the right. Now that is a result of smart choices, which is always reflected in your position high in the sky.
That's nice.
It's a race around a fixed course, but the sports class racing series is restricted to certified ENC paragliders. So there's very little difference between them in terms of glide and speed. The first to cross the finish line is a result of good decisions.
So I've got 31 k's left on the task. I've got a little counter that's ticking down the distance now. 8.5 k's to the next turn point. I've also got 2 glide figures. One, my current glide, which is around 7. And the glide needed to complete the task, which is 40 at the moment. So if I was a sailplane, I could just glide and finish it off.
My secret weapon here is the little Omni device from Navita. This competition was a test to see if this minuscule instrument designed for hike and fly could support me in a competition environment, because it promises to be the one instrument that does it all. It performed brilliantly, guiding me from one step to the next with simple visuals and clear alerts. It was the only thing I needed on my cockpit. But if you're serious about competitions or struggle with close vision, you might prefer the large screen Big Brother called Birdie. They run the same software.
Bridge looks a little tricky going ahead here. Pilots are just struggling to get over the top of the ridge.
The Vario is great, a no-nonsense, accurate climbing tone that kept me in the lift and displayed the regular thermals, and even climbs other competitors were currently in. Look out for my in-depth review on the Omni, coming soon. Academy members get special prices on Navita equipment. Look in the chat room for more information.
There we go. Right, 10 k's. Back to Berga. So now we've got a total cloud over. That whole section is clouded. I expect the lift will be good close to the cloud, but you can't see what's at the top anymore. We'll probably get a really good glide through here with a tailwind. So I'm just going to ignore the front ridges altogether and go for that patch of sun.
So I'm coming in just about the right height into goal. And no matter how many times you do that, this is a fantastic feeling. Completing a course and getting back.
Well, that was fun. It's fairly open in the valley. So yeah, I've got to focus in the task tomorrow to stick at the speedy line and stay right in the front.
So anyway, welcome everybody, and I'm very happy that we could sponsor this event. Thank you. Have a good time.
I'm with Brett Janaway, and Brett is a master of competition flying, records,
Sometimes.
paragliding for years and years, and he's taken all of those skills and he's put them into competition organising. So it's quite a unique skill set you've got. And I've got to say, awesome job. So firstly, thank you for the SRS. This is a really well organised competition. And you know it's well organised when everything works.
Good.
So, trackers, it worked. I landed in the middle of nowhere. The retrieve picked me up within 2 minutes. I got to the road. So tell me a little bit about it. Why did you do it? What is it? What's the intention behind it?
I've been organising, you can blame Mark Asquith, chairman of the BHPA. He got me into organising about 1997
Yeah.
for BHPA events, and then I just picked up accuracy. I started in for organising the first 4 ones,
Yeah.
but cross-country draws you in, as it does. And so cross-country, I've been full-time organiser for about 12 years now. Always big events right from the start. And it's just a whole bunch of skills I picked up in the last 30 years really on how to put this together. And then the SRS itself, that was 11 years ago the concept was designed,
Yeah.
but we couldn't put it into action because the nature of what it is, competition, people wanting to win, it doesn't just apply to pilots, it's the manufacturers and everybody. And what we didn't want is to create something that will change the design of the glider, not in a sports class. You've got cross-country pilots who want cross-country wings.
Yeah.
But they invented the two-liner, and that solves it for us. The two-liner has natural limitations on the design that make it suitable for competition racing, whilst remaining a nice cross-country wing, which is what it is.
Yeah.
So that was the basics of the series, and after that we just spoke to our friends at Cross Country. They wanted to help us with the media. We got some of the top manufacturers involved, so we got the Ozone, Jin, Skywalk, BGD, the primary 4. The instrument manufacturer, we've got Navita behind us, and Flymasters providing all the tracking. So when you put that mix together, it's almost solved.
Yeah.
And then the pilots, the pilots have been screaming for this for a long, long time. So not just competitions, not just sports competitions, which have always historically been training type events, but this gives them the racing event they want.
He's created a monster, because I tried to register for the event and there were like 350 pilots that wanted to get in.
Yeah.
You've got a limitation on how many pilots you can actually manage.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do with the excess, the people that are like super stoked about the SRS? We're all stoked about it, and you can't actually get in. Are you thinking of expanding it in different ways or limiting it?
No.
Okay.
We are working like crazy. I can't believe the hours this series takes to organise.
Yeah.
It's a non-profit, no shareholders, so none of us can touch any of the money that might be left over on this. It all gets reinvested. And hence it's a membership series.
It's going to stick to 5 a year. 5 is manageable for all the staff. Yeah. We're trying to make it an open series. So it's designed to be able to win the series, you only need to come to 2. And that gives you enough tasks to score for the whole series. If you come to all 5, great, maybe you can do better, but 2 is enough. And because you only have to do 2, many pilots will stop at that, and other pilots get a chance to come in then.
Great.
It's international, it's not just Europe. But going into next year, we've also got Korea as one of the venues, and Jin is going to sponsor that one for us. We've got inquiries from many places, so for sure in the future, New Zealand and Australia, almost back to back, 1 week break, so European can have a nice 3-week holiday, 2 comps, make it worth the trip. And yeah, the list is endless of countries trying to get in, but it will be 5 a year.
It's been brilliant chatting to you. Thank you for organising and motivating this event. I think the concept of the SRS is brilliant, because you don't have to be completely dedicated to competition flying. You can try it, and you can have a wing that you would normally fly cross country on. When you go into a PWC level, you committed into flying a CCC wing, and then when you're recreational flying, you're on the same wing, and it maybe isn't the nicest thing to be on the whole year round, but the SRS gives you that opportunity. And what I've really been impressed with is you've got E and B wings, which are proving to be just as competitive.
Yes.
So it's much more about tactics, competition thinking, and how clever you are with your flight planning, rather than all out full bar, high performance. And then the piloting skill comes out. So
that's it.
It's a magic formula.
Exactly.
I think it's really, really
your ordinary kit that you're used to, you perform better on it anyway. Leave the ballast at home, you don't need that.
Yeah.
And just have fun in a nice competitive racing environment, surrounded by the other pilots, not being left behind.
Yeah.
Good.
So yeah, I think it's a good thing you've created here.
Yeah.
Good luck with it, and I wish you all
Very
the
much.
success.
We'll see you at the next one.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks,
Cheers.
mate. Cheers. Are you ready to race now? I know I am. Good morning and welcome to the SRS Berga. So this is the first day. Pilots are standing in a long queue to find out their fate. Exciting, it's briefing time. Now we get to find out what we have to do. Jeff knows what to do. He's an Academy member.
For the first task of the SRS BGD edition in Berga, I hope you had a nice sleep and you're ready to race, to fly and to have fun.
In the Pyrenees at the north, we have risk of overdeveloping and rain. The wind at the surface level is little southwest, light, more strong at the flatland at the southwest. Probably when you stay in that area, you feel more the wind.
And we're going to talk secret tactics. What are we going to do?
Oh, absolutely. We're going to take our own secret line, do what no one else does, and then bomb out and have a beer.
Most important thing to focus on is to get up to base and just be in the start and don't leave it before the start.
My challenge is always timing the last thermal before the start gate. I never get that right, so I want to try to practice that today.
Yeah. So we just have to make the transition over this front ridge, get into the climb, build up altitude and get to the start. Getting kind of flushed off the ridge here. Something right in front, just running. So that seems to be the start gaggle on my right. We're in a good position for attacking.
The start was so catastrophic, I actually thought I'd misprogrammed my instruments because I couldn't understand why nobody went to the start when it opened.
Yeah.
But everyone was too busy just trying to grovel for height. And I thought, well, you'd better just start and then grovel for height because all the groveling was on course. So
Yeah.
it just made no sense to be doing that before actually, and then have to go to the start and then probably go back and grovel again.
Yeah.
So I just
tagged it
I
and
tagged
went to
it
the ridge
and-
to grovel.
and then grovelled with the rest of them,
Yeah.
except I was on course and they were still had to start.
It's okay. I have a superpower given to me by Air Design. Warp speed.
So that immediately put a lot of people behind me.
Yeah. And I've started. What was your strategy for the course that got you there so far? Your line was very effective.
The key thing was going over the flats at the beginning. You know, there's a lot more sunlight and there was obviously big climbs everywhere on the flats.
Yeah.
And that worked really well. And I was kind of looking more at the clouds than at the ground, and I managed to pick a good line and find some really strong climbs under really black clouds that basically just got me going really fast.
Nothing seems to be working well here, this whole ridge. There's a few guys that are managing to stay on the ridge. And I'm now level with the guys out in the flats. It's not working as well as I expected on this piece. So I'm going to use the ridge again and just go back to the position that usually works. Now I'm keeping my ground speed sort of around 30.
Nah, let's just use my superpower.
That line works pretty well. Once we've recovered and got our height, we're able to go straight over this high terrain, clear through to the front ridge. Jetsada and I fly for a while together here. Ahead, Dave has managed to sneak ahead of us. But it's quite interesting to watch here, just on this corner, see how Bruce Goldsmith overtakes him. They're coming along together, Dave and Bruce, for the turn point. Dave takes a little climb, but Bruce carries on, gets the turn point, and comes back. So that's a move that you can use quite often with competition tasks, is if there's a turn point, you want to try and take the turn point first and come back for a climb, especially if the climbs are leading more towards the next turn point. And that gives Bruce Goldsmith just a little bit extra advantage on that corner. And you can see where he is relative to Dave now. He's halfway down the ridge line, and they were next to each other. So that's smart competition flying tactics by an ex-world champion. And you can see Bruce heading off for the next turn point, which is somewhere out over the flats here, and leading. He's gained quite a bit of time just by doing that little move. A shout out to Jeff Sanderson, who's doing very well in this task and is parallel with Bruce there. And he's just lost a little bit of time by going deeper back behind the ridge line. The task is running straight down the screen. Jeff's gone over to join pal Takats, who's been stuck on this little hill. And he's got way more height, and that's not the fastest line. So there again, Bruce's line is quicker. It's more directly on the task route, and when they get back onto the ridge, you'll see Bruce is just ahead of Jeff now. I'm coming in with over 600 meters extra. So I could be flying faster. I could have left the last two climbs of the course out and just glided, and I would have got a faster speed around the course. It's always a balance between how much risk do you take on the task and your speed. The more risk you take, the faster you're going.
Check out the goal party. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know, 20 pilots in goal, including Jetsada.
So clearly my training helped, and he's so good now he just beats me.
Champion!
That was a lovely task, man. Wow. And look at the sky, it's still working. Hi, Greg. Still really good. Hello. Well done. You're ahead of me. Good job. Thank you. Yeah, really lovely conditions. Starting to look really big out in the flats there. Even more so than the mountains. But here you can see there's something tall at the top. But I'm happy with that. I managed to get up after getting kind of stuck on the ridge and flushed, and had a good day. See you in the debrief. Cheers. Go beer.
Go beer for private Greg tea.
Drink. Is that Dave? It is Dave. Dave's in goal. You're not in goal?
Nope, I made it in the speed. That's the important part.
You made it in the speed.
Yeah. Okay.
Which gets him the most important points.
According to me.
The goal. I don't know if he's allowed the beer. Do you think he's allowed the beer?
I'm allowed to drown my sorrows.
I'm here with Ulrich Jessop, who is a legend in the competition scene because he usually does the scoring, and he's done rather well today. Has that have anything to do with having written the algorithm?
No, not really. But I play my cards close to my chest on that subject. No, it's all kosher.
Yeah. Did you use some of your knowledge of the scoring lead out points and things like that to get your position?
I was doing very well up until the end. That's why I got good lead out points. It was going very well, and then just the point came to change gear, and I just changed gear a little bit too much, and I just slowed down. But it was a good thing to do because I was with Magda, and she didn't really change gear, and unfortunately she was in the lead, but she landed. And I just thought now is the time to just make sure I get there. It's okay, because I'd pretty much been in the lead or with the leaders for most of the race. So
how far does that lead out point bonus work? Is it like as you start the task for the first kilometer?
No, it starts about 20% into the race. We have a curve.
Okay.
So initially it's 0. We don't like people getting good lead points at the start, because that encourages cloud flying, and it just pays to be as high as possible.
Okay.
So you
just got to have a good start.
No reward.
You got to get going on the course.
You need a good start.
But then you've got to start leading the pack.
But you've got to be leading in the midsection of the race. That's the critical thing.
Okay.
And then also towards the end, it tapers off as well.
And how did number 1 beat you? What did he do differently?
He was flying faster than me. I was on full bar. My pulleys were overlapping for all the time. Not one, even through some of the thermals, and he was flying faster than me. So I don't know. It's the name of the game.
Brilliant. And what's your strategy now for the rest of the comp? Do you kind of forget what you did today and just do every day?
Every day's a special day.
Thanks very much for the interview. Thanks, Ulrich, and thanks for all the work that you've done in the scoring in the past.
My pleasure.
It's really helped the competition scene be, accurate, and these kind of lead-out points and all of the special things that go into the algorithm. It shapes the way competition flying works, rewards pilots for flying well, and it nails pilots for flying slowly. So tomorrow's another day, and I hope you do very well, and I hope to be with you.
I hope you're there too.
Super, thanks.
Cool.
Day 2 of the SRS Berga. So we've got a forecast for quite big clouds today. I'm not sure if we're going to fly. We'll probably go up and have a look and see if it's worth throwing some wind dummies off to see if it's any good. It's quite a thing organising a competition of this scale. There's the HQ, there's all the van, parking, we have facilities here, toilets, a glider, storeroom to lock up gliders. But it's all the little things that you have to organise. There's like toilets up on the launch site, there's buses to take the pilots up, there's shuttles to pick up other pilots and do retrieve. There's a whole retrieve system, the tracking system. It's a massive endeavour to organise this well. And the team here at the SRS are doing a fantastic job, led by Janaway, but there's a whole team that run the SRS and make it work.
And yeah, it's just fantastic to have that support so that we can play. Thanks, guys. We start off at Figueroa as normal. We're flying out from the mountains to the ridges in front. That's the last opportunity for sunny mountain slopes. And then the bulk of the task is crosswind until a final glide downwind into goal. This suggests that the crux is going to be crossing the big plains in front of takeoff and getting established on this low ground to the east. Every pilot should aim to launch in less than 30 seconds. With over 100 competitors, this will mean it'll take an hour to get everybody off. The forecast is for a band of moisture to be pushed in with a westerly wind, triggering thunderstorms. There's a ticking weather clock today. I'm stuck in the slowest launch queue in the world, and it's agonizing watching poor control in easy conditions. Don't let the antics make you nervous. If you ever struggle with wing control, do yourself and everyone else a favor. Take my launch control course and become a pro at all the methods you can use to depower the situation and make it safe. That's good. That's the cinematic version. The real version is more like this. Alright, 1 minute to go to start. I'm not in a good position, so I'm going to wait until I've got height. That maybe puts me 15 behind the leaders again. It's so easy to not get a good start position. See some birds circling in front here. I'm racing in the wrong direction. I'm just in the fallout from this cloud, unfortunately. I'm right at the back end of it, which is not good. So I'll go and join the gaggle. There's one thing I've learned in competition flying. It's to never be rushed. Racing requires altitude. And if you don't have it, don't be tempted to rush off after those who left from a commanding position. That's like riding a snail and thrashing it to make it go faster. Just think, where is the strongest climb you can reach so you can build altitude to get back in the race? To me, these clouds still look very tempting, more so than the blue. Over a third of the field are down in the first glide zone of 7 kilometers.
You can see the clouds are pulling with the westerly, even northwesterly, and that's straight down the coastline.
In a competition, you have to take risk. You have to fly fast or you lose any chance of catching up. And sometimes this means you must take the risky line, like this one.
So stinky here. Terrible.
But up ahead, the pilots have worked their way all the way along the ridge and are now almost at the final turn point.
So I'm here with number 2 from the task today. How did you do this?
I just did my homework well.
Yeah.
Just like this, follow the best. I glide, a pole, and a bruise.
Yeah.
And then in the last 10 kilometers, I tried to separate the group. And then, yeah, I did it. I tried to go by myself, and I said, Soroush, that's your chance. You learn it until now in this test, so you have to do it. Yeah.
And you're on a C glider, on a 2-liner?
3-liner.
3-liner?
Yeah,
Okay.
Delta 4.
Oh, okay.
And I always was like a full bar speed, more than 100%, fully over.
In the launch queue, were you right near the front? Were you early?
Yeah,
Launch? Yeah.
I'm always early.
And are you comfortable with this launch with a strong wind controlling the glider?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, thanks for my instructor. So he learned many things to me. Thank you.
Cool. Well, I'll see you in goal today.
Yeah.
I'm here with Takats. You know Takats. He's a superstar ex-Alps athlete and pilot mentor. You've been doing a lot of coaching in Colombia.
Yeah.
And he's also a damn good competition pilot. But the reason I'm talking to him is he's been beating us on an E and B wing.
Not any E and B, but the Rise 6.
Yeah?
She's really good.
What has your strategy been? How did you won the task? It was a flatland task with crosswind. So I would have thought all the odds are against the E and B.
Well, yeah. The others handed me the win because they did something else and I went more straight lining to goal. But I was not actually in the position to go for the task win, but I had very good leading points throughout the task, and then there was this one decisive moment where they kind of thought they are going on a more conservative approach, and I went more straight lining to a nice looking cloud, and that was the plus 4 meters there, and that was it.
Did you need to fly ahead? Like on the final glide, I would think the 2-liners are a little bit faster.
Yes, they are faster. So to even have a chance of winning a task or the competition, because I'm slower, I have to be pushing more and ideally pick up some leading points. So when in the end they overtake me, I can still recover the result.
Road ice over there on the left. So that's me done for task 2. There we go. Well done to the guys that got further. And I think it's fair to say that the task is finished.
Some competition tasks live with you forever. This is one of them.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah. Okay, welcome to task 3 of the SRS. So yesterday we had a tricky day, a day that nobody had faith, but fortunately we have a great team of weathermen, task committee, safety committee, and we managed to pull off a task. So a big round of applause to our task committee.
Maybe 2,500, 3,000, 3,500 with this step going up the top of the thermals. For the task, the breeze will be from the ridges, okay, from westerly influence all the time, in all the tasks. The thermals will be strong, the mountains, it's different at the Flandern flight, more turbulent, more demanding for the pilots. Maybe at the beginning will be more difficult to stay high. When the high level of the thermals are more high, we have less wind from west and we can go better to the north. Try to take off early. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mario.
So I'm going to try launching early today. I'll see you in the air.
The first hour is difficult. You can watch that battle in the hard start video. But then,
okay, so I'm 2 minutes now after start. So I'm going to get there maybe 4 minutes late. I'm coming in with lots of altitude and a good gaggle and 64 k's an hour ground speed, so I don't really need speed. I just want to maintain altitude really, so that the next leg, which is into wind, I can clear most of the terrain. That's sink, so I might as well have a bit of bar on. So there we go, they're the task leaders. Rock in. Well done, guys. I'm just about to clip it. There we go, we started. I'm going to drive into wind here on the lifty line and then try and progress towards the turn point.
I can't turn in this because I'll just have to return to the same place and waste time. Thermals need to be stronger than these minima. When gliding against the 20 km/h headwind, I go to trim speed in +1, brakes flying straight in +2, and turn in +3.
Okay, so this is the turn point coming up. We want to go and get some good juice off the ridge. That's it. As I have it. Lift and go into the big mountains. Let's do this. Well, those guys are in orbit. Super well.
It seemed to us at the time that this front route was going to be the best route because we were already climbing off the front terrain and we were nicely positioned to take the turn point and head back in. But what happens off the back ridge here is a little unexpected. They get a climb and then they're just gliding up and up and up and up. So that glide is phenomenal. They get this sort of convergence lift line. So it puts them now, Rosa's at 2.4 and I'm at 1.5. It's 900 meters above. So I'm in good position, like distance-wise, but I'm at the bottom of the stack in terms of height. So I've got to find something off this ridge, top up and drift back. There's a lot of wind here. Don't really like being so close to the terrain with so much wind. No, I don't like this at all. Move out. Fairly good. parked. I decide to stop fighting the wind and just drift inland. It's terribly forested, but there are signs of lift ahead. This mountain was obviously working, but it has many spines that lead up to the summit and shallow slopes, so I'm cautious about where I place myself. It feels like more wind than I'd normally fly in mountain terrain. But the fact that other pilots have topped out with no problems gives me confidence. This is one of the benefits of flying in a competition. You can challenge your assumptions and flying style by using visible data and recalibrate. It seems I can be a little bit braver. These guys are climbing up in a steeper climb, and I've drifted out of the back of that. I'm in the weaker part of the same thermal. But there's an opportunity there to push into wind and get a stronger climb.
Oh, that was a lot of hard work to get to this nice thermal.
I'm making sure that I get right to the top here. We've got a big transition across a valley to get to this ridge line ahead of us.
Right, that's the turn point. And we're on track to the next one. 6 k's away, back at Pedropolka.
Picking the best glide line for a long transition like this is a bit of guesswork, but it's easier to fall back from an upwind position than to recover if you veer too far downwind. What makes this step hard is the large cloud shadow that is brought over by the upper wind. This will slow the climbs down, so I fly carefully for some time and restrict myself to the exposed rock faces. Woohoo! It's easy to get distracted by the sheer beauty of this place and my unique vantage point.
Check at that!
Let's not forget, I'm in a race. Climbing fast is the key to winning.
Very epic, Greg. But the winners are already finishing the course. How did they do it so fast?
So I'm here with Dylan Mansley from Fly Spain.
Uh-huh.
He has a bit of experience of flying in Spain.
Just a little bit.
How many years have you been flying in Spain?
6 years now. Mostly southern Spain though, not this end of the country.
Is your strength flatland flying or mountains?
Definitely flatlands. Mountains is not something I'm used to, but through a few competitions and clearly this one as well, I'm getting used to it and getting the gist of ridge bashing and flying quite fast, quite close to terrain.
Yeah, it was difficult surviving on the ridge. Like the first hour was just hard work.
Painful, absolutely painful. But thankfully the day got better.
Yeah.
And we got some great altitude, and we got up to 2,200 meters, somewhere around that. Whereas the rest of the competition were about anywhere between 16 and 1800, which is a very satisfying moment to say the least. You're like, finally, we've gone up. Also, I took a solo route sort of further to the west, trying to really counter that wind, to just have as much of a downwind as I could. And at that point, things raised. I went to 3,000 meters, so did the other group, but much further to the east, meaning they had to counter a bit more of a crosswind. And it was lovely. I ended up having probably 10, 15 kilometers just climbing, completely solo, taking the lead for the first part of the competition, working with the convergence instead of hills, as they hadn't proved to be working especially well earlier. And then after that, I met with a couple of pilots up front. There was only 3 pilots at that point, really pushing low. Managed to get on top of them, maintain a nice, safe position, and then held that till we got to the ridge. And that was pretty much where the racetrack began, where we started really ridge bashing, pushing hard, pushing low, not really stopping for climbs, just easing off bar a little bit, holding a +4/+4. And then going back on glide. We did that a few times till we eventually headed for goal.
Yeah, brilliant. What move could you have made to win the task? There was only like a minute or two in it, wasn't it?
Yeah, right at the end actually, I made a mistake. I'm once again not very familiar with mountain flying, and I had a couple pilots that I thought, well, one was local to the area, and I thought the other was a good mountain flyer.
Yeah.
They were both great pilots, but neither of them were local. I saw following the wrong group, clearly. And ironically, that group from behind, they weren't local either, but they just saw the convergence and gave it a shot. And it worked out really well for them. They beat us by 2 minutes, some of them. It was quite impressive. We didn't even spot them till we'd hit the waypoint, turned around and saw them ahead of us. And we're like, damn it, that's going to prove quite tricky. There's no catching up anymore. It was a really stunning flight, and once again proved I slightly prefer the flats because I'm not as good in the mountains, but I really enjoyed it.
They're so exciting though.
They are, and there's a lot to be learned about them.
That was an awesome performance and really good flying with you. So hopefully I'll see you in goal again tomorrow.
If we fly, then yes, definitely.
Brilliant.
Wicked.
Thanks, Dylan.
You're very welcome.
Well done. Isn't this lovely? And we got 3Ks to the turn point, which means it's up at the end of the ridge there. Quite a lot of headwind. Whoa! You can learn these active flying moves in the wing control course.
But right now, let's finish the task. If you like this video and subscribe, I might make another video for you.
Now that I'm on a downwind leg, it makes more sense to climb because I'm drifting mostly towards the next turn point. The key is to pick off the strongest ones in this section to get close to base. Watch that Nivea go. I'm so having that.
The guys are higher than me and they're going on glide.
I'm aiming for that developing lump of cloud which I'm hoping to connect with, but as I reach it, the area fizzles out.
Almost there. 50 meters to go. Once we've got that, we can just cruise back on the ridge. So quite a lot more cloud now, which means less sun on the ridge, less lift, but also more risk from the cloud. I've been in the air for 4 hours now, so forgive me for going easy, but there are probably some more points to be had here. I'm thinking that the leaders are far ahead of me, so there's no point racing. The most significant points in competition tasks are always distance, so aim to get all the way to goal, or land as close as you can. But if you get in, speed points are added to your score, so go faster wherever you can, because the clock is always ticking. I'm already the height of Pedro Forca. This is the best part of competition flying, when you have a route that challenges you for hours and you can get lost in the simple task of flying well. This whole flight had been visualized perfectly by the task committee, and I thank them for this creation, which has shown us an incredible flying arena on one of the best days. This place seems to work far better later in the day, and parts of this route still blow my mind. I don't need this lift. The Sports Class Racing Series gives you the added bonus of flying a simple wing, which frees up some attention for flying strategy and just having fun with your friends. Your speed always affects your overall ranking, which can often be decided on a few points. Besides, it looks cool when you have bug splats on your sunglasses.
Goldfield, and look at all the pilots. Yay! Happy days! Yay! Ah! That was so cool. Just in time for the thermal. Incoming.
Pois ao centro falarás molt contenta.
Everyone else who helped make the SRS at Berga such a great event. Thank you. So now you know what goes on at a paragliding competition. Level up your flying by joining my academy.
Woohoo! Fly with Greg!
To really understand flying in these mountains, you want to watch my ex-peer documentary next.